Ready whenever you are.
What stands out most? Well, I can think about several high points for my time on the Oakland board. I think in the times we shared together, actually. One high point was the trip to Montgomery.
Yeah.
And the chance to visit the Legacy Museum and the other museum there, and just the time we had as board members to bond and get to know each other better. So that was a high point. I think the merger between the Oakland Fund and Trio was another high point. And then most recently, of course, the Adora acquisition. So those are at least three high points in the last 4 years for me. And then finally, the chance to work with two committed, conscientious, and caring CEOs, Jim Crawford and Kira Mangia. So those are my high points.
That covers it pretty well. I don't know if I could really improve upon that. The only other thing I would add is I always got really excited when we did something that I don't think anybody else in Oakland was going to do. So the Adora standing up testing sites during COVID, some of the violence prevention work that I think was truly additive that probably no one else would have done when the city really needed it. I think that's the purpose of the fund.
Yeah, gosh. So I was here in the early days when the fund was first starting. I think I helped to recruit you to the board, and the things that really stood out to me about the fund are, well, one, going and I remember meeting with people who worked in the city of Oakland and hearing some of their ideas of what they could do if there was private sector capital that could help expand on an initiative that might help their area. And it wasn't always clear if there'd be a city budget. So recognizing that the folks within the city had ideas and wanted to do things. And so you were just trying to find this way of bringing the capital to the people in the public service roles. And also realizing the power of a city. You know, if a city decides it wants to roll something out across all of its school-age children, they have instant access to databases, they can get in front of families, and so that's real power. And so trying to figure out how do you take that power of a city and then marry it with this private capital to launch new initiatives. And I felt like we had fleeting moments of it. You know, sometimes it might be during like a COVID sort of response, but I feel like there are just so many more moments like that to be had, and it really requires the right leadership. You know, we've been with the fund through different mayors, and so also seeing how the dynamic of a mayor can affect this organization. But the high points for me were really kind of feeling that inspiration for city government, for a city like Oakland, and then working with the diversity of the people on our board and all the new leadership we have, whether it was Juma or now Kira, and just being inspired by people who want to make a difference. And I think that's not always easy to find in your day job, and so that's been wonderful.
You know, the idea of having a nonprofit, you know, for this organization to roll out from the mayor's office to become an independent nonprofit was also probably a high point. But to have a nonprofit that focuses on civic, so government, nonprofit, community-based groups, and private capital, for lack of a better word. How do you get all those parties working together to innovate, to try to solve difficult problems for marginalized communities? That to me was the interesting thing about the Oakland Fund, and I think continues to be the promise of the Oakland Fund. That idea that you can innovate and come up with new and better solutions.
And when I think about things that I wish for the fund going forward, or even for the city, I would be disheartened at dinner parties if people didn't know about all the different neighborhoods in Oakland. It was sort of like, people might know, oh, well, there's this one BART stop, or this is where I get my groceries and this is where I live, but I don't know about all these other sections of Oakland. And so when you're working on the fund and you're looking at the map and you're looking at all the districts and you're looking at the demographics, and you're kind of realizing, oh, okay, well, we need to make sure we've got this kind of representation, or what are the projects that are going to be most important here? Or like illegal dumping. I think I've learned so much more about illegal dumping than I ever did. And so you know, Oakland is a city with big needs, but also a lot of diversity. And I think the more people kind of care and learn about all of that, and I really think that's a place where I'm seeing the fund going to lean into getting more folks engaged. That inspires me.
Yeah, I think what excites me the most about going forward is that you can really address some of these problems, and I think violence in the city is a prime example, right? It's really come down in the last just 2 years, and it was terrible during the pandemic, and it's not all because of the Oakland Fund or all because of the Department of Violence Prevention, and there's a lot of national trends that went into it, and technology and different pieces of the puzzle, but I think truly that has changed and hopefully will continue to change. And I think we all know what the other issues are. It's housing, it's economic development, it's illegal dumping. And you know, the fund I think is well positioned in some of those and not as well in others, and that's fine. But I think making tangible progress in a couple of those issues could really transform Oakland, and it's not impossible. I think you can really do it.
So my hope for the future for the fund, innovative public-private partnerships that can really try different ways of solving some of these age-old problems and reframing them and thinking about them in different ways and exploring new possibilities, from problems to possibilities. And being able to come up with new solutions. I'm also excited because we have an evolving board, and we just added new board members. And so I hope this board continues to evolve and form and perhaps even storm a bit, but norm eventually. And you know, continue to be a great board that represents Oakland and all the best in